who was the only one who knew the child's identity, about what McQuarrie saw in the shower on the night of February 9, 2001. The evidence shows that these four men also knew about a 1998 criminal investigation of Sandusky related to suspected sexual misconduct and a young boy in a Penn State football locker shower room.
Now that was Louis Freeh, who conducted the Freeh report, former FBI director. Judge Louis Freeh and his law firm, Freeh, Sporkin, and Sullivan, they're the one that conducted this report into the facts and circumstances of the action of Pennsylvania State University surrounding the child abuse committed by former employee Jerry Sandusky, known as Jerry Sandusky. It's a shame. When he stands there and named the names of these people that fail to do their duties, these leaders, one including former head football coach Joe Paterno, and to me, former legend. No legend to me, and no legend to many people. So let's go to Spanier first. Disgraced ex-Penn State president. According to reports, it was in December of 1997 that Spanier learned that longtime Penn State defensive coordinator Jerry Sandusky had been accused of molesting a young boy while showering with him in the Penn State locker room, according to the Freeh report. But Spanier, for some reason, wouldn't stand up to Jerry Sandusky. He enabled the pervert, basically. Now, Spanier may still be indicted for his role, just as two of his lieutenants were, and that's athletic director Tim Curley and vice president Gary Schultz. They've already been indicted. He may wind up serving prison time as well as these two. If Spanier's indicted, he should be. Let's use Spanier as a prime example of the hypocrisy of the NCAA. I did story about that, a series about that earlier. If you want to go back and listen to those, please feel free once again to go back to YouTube, my channel, Babe Tom Herman. I did a series entitled The Hypocrisy of the NCAA, and Spanier certainly should have been included in that, but I didn't have access to the Freeh report at that time. He's arguably the single worst administrator to ever try to control and shape collegiate athletics. It's a shame. He was the ultimate NCAA busybody. He sat on and later chaired the organization's board of directors, and this is a position arguably more powerful than the NCAA president, which is Mark Emmert. He was on a high-level NCAA management council. He chaired the BCS oversight committee. I mean, this is just amazing. Here's a guy who kept this secret, enabled a pervert from 1997 on to 2011, and he was on a board of directors and later chaired the board of directors of the NCAA. This is amazing. Once again, a position more powerful than Mark Emmert's. This is just simply amazing. It was just a lie. He ran a lie. His program was a lie, and he sat on a committee for the NCAA. It's ridiculous. It's just downright ridiculous. I mean, he lived a lie. Joe Paterno lived a lie. And I mean, this guy was on this committee that creates a system that strictly policies amateurism. Colleges are allowed to claim they operate amateur sports, thus avoid paying the players taxes. Basically a $1 billion dodge. This is what he was over. In Ramogi Humor, the president of the National College Players Association, a California-based advocacy group for student athletes, he states, "I think it opens up a window into the psyche of some of the people who run college sports. They use ethical arguments that create hardship for the people they are supposed to be protecting to actually mask unethical behavior." Now here's a guy enforcing rules, enforcing this, enforcing that, and yet he was protecting a pervert. His coach, Joe Paterno, protecting a pervert. I mean, and what gets me is when Ohio State coach Jim Tressel didn't report that some of his players got free tattoos, Spanier just blew up, believed, a boiling point has been reached in college football. He was just a hypocrite, just a pure hypocrite. And we bought into it, including myself. Go back and listen to the hypocrisy of the NCAA. I didn't buy into that system at all. I'm just saying I bought into the pureness of Penn State. That's what I bought into, and that's what many of us bought into. I mean, if you listen to the Freeh report, If you haven't had a chance to listen to it, listen to the Freeh report. Also, just read it. It's a little over 200-page Freeh report. It will disgust you. The alleged cover-up by Paterno and then University President Graham Spanier and 2 other Penn State administrators allowed Sandusky to prey on other boys for years, said the report by former FBI Director Louis Freeh, who of course was hired by the university's trustees to investigate. He called the officials' behavior callous and shocking. Now, I'd encourage you to read it. And we learned from the report, the most disturbing part of this report for me is it chronicled a culture of silence that extended from the president down to the janitors in the football building. Even before 1998, football staff members and coaches regularly saw Sandusky showering with boys, but never told their superiors about it. In 2000, after a janitor saw Sandusky performing oral sex on a boy in a team shower, he told his co-workers. None of them went to the police for fear of losing their jobs. I mean, that's just amazing. One of the janitors said reporting the assault would have been like going against the President of the United States in my eyes. I know Paterno has so much power. If he wanted to get rid of someone, I would have been gone. He went on to assert that football runs this university. That's just amazing. Now, I might have jumped the gun a little bit, and you might be saying, you're listening, saying, where am I getting 1998 from? Okay, let's go back to 1998. Police investigated after a woman complained that her son had showered with Sandusky. The investigation did not result in charges, but the emails through the Freeh report show Paterno clearly followed the 1998 case. The university officials took no action at the time to limit Sandusky's access to campus. Then after the 2001 report of Sandusky sexually abusing a boy in the shower, university officials barred him from bringing children to campus, but decided not to report him to child welfare authorities. It's amazing. This independent report also revealed that Paterno knew about allegations of child abuse involving Sandusky as far back as 1998. Now let's go back to January 2011. Joe Paterno then learned prosecutors were investigating his longtime assistant coach, pervert Jerry Sandusky, for sexually assaulting young boys. Soon Paterno had testified before a grand jury, and the rough outlines of what would become a giant scandal had been published in a local newspaper. Now that same month, Paterno, he was still coaching at Penn State, began negotiating with his superiors to amend his contract. That alone was strange. That was a surprise because the contract was not set to expire until after the end of last season, 2011 season, according to university documents and people with knowledge of the discussion. By last August, Paterno and the university president, both by then embroiled in the Sandusky investigation, had reached an agreement. According to the agreement, Paterno was to be paid $3 million at the end of last season, 2011. If he agreed, that would be his last. Interest-free loans totaling $350,000 that the university had made to Mr. Paterno over the years would be forgiven as part of the retirement package. He would also have the use of the university's private plane and a luxury box at Beaver Stadium for him and his family to use over the next 25 years. Now, the university's full board of trustees were kept in the dark about this whole arrangement until November, when all hell broke loose, basically. All this started hitting the papers. Now just look at the timeline. Joe Paterno. Remember his last interview I stated last week with the Washington Post before he passed away. Paterno insisted he had absolutely no knowledge of a 1998 police inquiry into child molestation by his friend Jerry Sandusky. Amazing. That means basically Joe Paterno, according to the Freeh report, he knew. He kept tabs on what was going on with that investigation. So basically, Joe Paterno not only lied to Sally Jenkins of the Washington Post, published on January 14, 2012. Paterno knew about 1998. He was protecting his reputation ahead of protecting children. And not only that, did he lie to her, that means he lied to the grand jury as well. Because all of what Paterno told her basically was contradicted by the Freeh report. So basically Joe Paterno was a liar as well. His whole legacy was a lie. Now, please forgive me, his whole legacy prior to 1998 or prior to 1999, his whole legacy prior to 1998 We don't know. There's no evidence that it was a lie. But from 1998 on down to 2011 was a lie. He lived a lie. The university officials, Spanier, Schultz, Tim Curley, lived a lie, protecting pervert Jerry Sandusky. The whole football program was a lie. That's the reason I state very clearly, I asked the question, should coaches be the face of colleges and universities? No. This is one very reason they shouldn't be. Joe Paterno, JoePa, whatever you want to call him. You may be asking, what are my thoughts about this? Basically, my views of Joe Paterno changed when I saw a coach so absorbed in himself. Rather than retire, he chose to coach from the press box, acting as if there was no capable person to replace him. When a coach has been in place for so long, and I'm talking about so long with a combined 61 years under his belt as an assistant and as a head coach, Joe Paterno had to feel some sense of entitlement. He simply could have just said, let's do the right thing, and influence all to report Sandusky, but he chose to protect his own and Penn State's football's reputation. Basically, in a nutshell, we have to break the culture of winning at all costs that currently exists in a number of college and university programs. There are many who want the death penalty placed on Penn State. I beg to differ, because you're not hurting the legacy of Paterno at all. If the NCAA wishes to do the right thing, then they should forfeit every victory for Joe Paterno from 1999 through 2011. That will take away from him having the most victories, 409 to be exact, by an NCAA Division I FBS coach. If you put the current football program on the death penalty, or even tear down a statue, Paterno does not suffer. But you take away what meant so much to him, and that's winning at all costs, then his legacy will forever be forgotten. Well, unfortunately, my time is up, and I certainly hope that you enjoyed your early morning coffee on this Saturday morning with Babe Tom Herman, and I hope that you tune in each and every Saturday morning at 7:30 a.m. on this fine radio station, Power 750 WAUG, and on Power750.com. Also, please feel free to listen to this show on YouTube at channel Babe Tom Herman.